A new phase in the Russia investigation. Special counsel Robert Mueller reportedly convening a federal grand jury dedicated to his growing investigation as lawmakers introduce a pair of bipartisan bills to protect his job. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham is behind one of those bills and joins us live. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
Why did you think it was necessary to take this step, and what would your bill do?
Well, basically it says if Mueller is fired, then 3 judges would look at the circumstances of the firing and see if the facts applied to the DOJ regulation meet. And if it's a legitimate firing, off he goes. If the judges think it's not legitimate, then we'll have a timeout and get to deal with the issue. I think a lot of people in the country want to make sure he can do his job without threat or fear. I want to make sure he can do his job without threat or fear, but I find no evidence of a crime by President Trump or his team, and I find no reason to fire Mueller. If you can show me a reason to fire him, bring it on. If you got a crime that Trump or his team has committed, bring it on. At the end of the day, I want to protect the process, but I see nothing yet that the Trump people have done wrong.
All right, you're an experienced lawyer.
Used to be.
You and I are both recovering lawyers.
Right.
But this idea of the grand jury going public, we have this report that it's actually happened. We've not gotten into the content yet, if it does exist. How in the world, with the leak situation that we've had thus far in Washington over the last several months, do you think we get through this investigation without more leaks every time there's a development or a subpoena or a witness?
I'm going to hold Mueller accountable for this. He's running the grand jury process. I will respect it. Do your work behind closed doors professionally. Work with the Trump team when you need to. But if we get constant leaks coming out of the grand jury, then he needs to be held accountable for that. That's not fair to the president. It's not fair to the president to have these conversations with foreign leaders in the Washington Post front page. You can't run the White House this way. And no American, including President Trump or his team, should have the contents of a grand jury leaked out into the press selectively. If that happens, then Mueller and his team will be held to account.
So we're going to hear at 11 o'clock, just almost 40 minutes or so from now, from your former colleague, Jeff Sessions, now the Attorney General, about these leaks. What do you think it's going to take for them to stop?
Somebody to go to jail. I've never seen anything like it. You know, everybody leaks in the town, but I've never seen transcripts of presidential phone calls in the front page of the Washington Post. How would you like to be a world leader talking to President Trump? So this undermines his ability to be effective president. It's got to stop.
Is that the point? Do you think of the leaks, is that the point, by these people who maybe feel like the ends justify the means?
No,
they want to take down the president.
And let me just say this about the president. We're a country of process, not outcomes. We're going to follow a legal process. Nobody is above the law in America, and you don't have the right, if you work in the White House or you're a holdover from the Obama administration or you're a professional bureaucrat, to take the law in your own hands. That's not the way we work here. So somebody needs to go to jail. I applaud Jeff Sessions for trying to find out who's doing this, because they're hurting the ability of the country to function, and they're hurting the presidency itself, as to President Trump. You can say all you want to say about Mueller, but I find no reason to fire him. Ken Starr was accused of being a Republican. The people working for him were Republicans, but that's not a reason to disqualify somebody from doing an investigation unless they actually have a conflict of interest. I'm going to play this very straight. Mueller's going to be held accountable for running a professional operation here. If it becomes a series of leaks on his side, we're going to hold him accountable and want to make sure that he can do his job without political interference. I think the country needs that and deserves that.
All right, I'm kind of surprised that you're here, because all your friends are gone.
Yeah.
It's quiet over there behind us at Capitol Hill. There's some tumbleweeds rolling around out there. So a lot of folks decided they're doing the recess.
Right.
You're still working on health care.
Yeah, I stayed here yesterday. When you hear a Republican say, well, we got to move on, no. We haven't taken our best shot at replacing Obamacare. I've got an idea that came from Republican governors. Why don't you take the money that we'd spend on Obamacare in Washington and grant it back to the 50 states? Under Obamacare, 4 states get 40% of the money: New York, California, Massachusetts, and Maryland. My block grant approach takes the money we'd spend here in Washington, sends it back to the states in a more equitable fashion. By 2026, under this approach, if you're a patient in South Carolina or California California, the federal government helps you about the same. More money to the 46 states, more flexibility to all the states. We haven't even tried that. I met with Scott Walker and Doug Ducey, one from Wisconsin and Arizona. One expanded Medicaid, the other didn't. We're very close to bringing the Republican governors together to get behind the block grant approach so that you'll have a say about your health care, that the governor and the state house will administer health care, not some bureaucrats you'll never meet in Washington. We haven't even tried this. We have to September the 30th. I'm excited. I think we can do this, and I want my Republican leadership team to know, and I think they will be open-minded to a new approach. But we should have our heads handed to us. We have not replaced Obamacare. We have not done all we could to replace Obamacare. So I'm insistent that we take every shot we can, and the best shot hasn't happened yet.
All right, and it's good for you that I'm out of time, because I don't have time to ask you about the poll that says Congress is at 10% approval.
Yeah, who are the 10% and what do they like?
All right, Senator Graham, always good to see you. Thanks for coming in.